At first sight, he was struck by this beautiful girl.
Tá maluco, garoto?
Although he interrupted the girl's excitement, but the collision also brought him a marriage for good. He met this girl again just as Jack came to work.
Você?
Vocês já se conhecem?
Não.
Annie was a gifted pianist. She was on stage at the age of 8. She was already in the symphony orchestra by the age of 13. It seems that talented people are most likely to be jealous of God. At a young age, she was stricken with an immune disease. Since then, Annie's dreams have been bound by the disease. Little by little, the disease was eating away at her body. The doctor told Annie, "Your kidney only has 10% of its life left." Although a kidney transplant could solve Annie's condition, but not only is there a shortage of kidneys, even Annie's quota is more than 10,000 people away. The long wait seemed to announce that there was nothing the doctors could do. But Annie didn't give up. She is still full of hope for life. She was bright, cheerful and positive. One day, when she saw a piano on the street, she played it subconsciously. The beautiful melody soon resonated throughout the station. The man lost his concentration for a moment, and the scene at the beginning of the story happened. No one would have thought that this handsome young man would become Annie's doctor. Knowing that Annie was in a bad mood, Jack came to the rooftop for the first time to talk with her. It turns out that the reason Annie was upset was that she desperately needed a piano to practice on. She was going to have a piano audition soon. Jack could see that this girl was very talented. Maybe everyone who pursues her dream deserves to be respected. In order not to let the goddess she loves miss out on her dream, Jack found a junk piano in an unused house. Although it was a little out of tune, but he finally fulfilled Annie's wish. He dragged Annie to the last minute and scrambled to sign her up. From then on, this man was like a light in the darkness that completely lit up Annie's life. He taught her how to ride a bike. He taught her to play the piano. Soon two people who were getting to know each other became lovers. With Jack by her side, Annie passed the interview with flying colors. To celebrate, they went on their first date in Jack's dormitory. Under the billboard on the roof, Annie made her first wish. It was a romantic night for the two lovers. It seems that happy times are often short-lived. Soon after, bad news arrived. With this routine checkup, the doctor told Annie that her kidneys were about to go on strike. Jack sought help online for this reason. After learning that there was still no suitable kidney source, Jack decided to donate his own to Annie. But unfortunately, his sincerity did not touch God. He could never have imagined that his blood type and Annie's did not match. When his father, who was the director, learned of this, he was furious. He told his son to stay away from Annie. There are so many healthy girls in the world. Why would you choose someone who was seriously ill? He also gave Jack a final message as the director. If you don't listen to me, I'll report you to the staff positions committee. You'll lose your job, and then I won't be able to help you. The rebellious Jack didn't listen to his father's words. To break them up, his father began to interfere with them in every way possible. On the day when Jack was eager to attend Annie's recital, he was scheduled to work late. Annie, who couldn't wait for Jack, became ill for a while. By the time Jack arrives in a hurry, Annie was already in the emergency car. Annie finally found out about the incident on Jack's cell phone afterwards. Due to the investigation of ethical conduct in the doctor-patient relationship, you have been summoned to appear before the next residency committee to determine whether your internship will continue. She knew her condition was deteriorating. In order not to get Jack involved, Annie broke up with him. She cried her heart out this night, although she loved Jack. But she couldn't watch the man she loved lose his future for her. It seemed that this difficult relationship was destined to suffer the test of time. Finally, when Annie came back to the hospital for another checkup, the patient next to her encouraged her. It was the most noble decision I've ever heard in my life. It was also the dumbest. Are you going to die today? She had a good point. You can't die now. It could be 30 years from now. Give it back to me. It's for those who are not afraid of life. In a moment Annie was inspired. She defiantly broke into the hospital conference room. What are you doing here? I have something to say about Jack. He's the best doctor here. I'm not saying this because of our relationship. I'm talking about every patient he's ever treated. If you fire him, all the patients will suffer because of it too. So you blame me. With Annie stepping up to the plate, Jack successfully kept his position. The story of the two of them also spread throughout the hospital. To thank Annie, Anna arranged a surprise for her personally.
É um prazer recebê-la na nossa sala de concerto, senhorita Nina.
To the applause of the crowd, Annie took him by the arm. They walked into the church like a newlywed couple. It turns out that Jack was making up for Annie's unfinished recital. With a beautiful melody, a group of people witnessed this talented girl. Even his father, who had always hated Annie, was deeply moved by the scene. They made up with each other in front of the crowd. We thought the two would go on happily until the day of the miracle. But then there was an unpredictable event. Jack went to the top of the mountain he had been to in memory of his mother. Just as Jack reached for the photo, the rope fell off. Jack unfortunately fell off the cliff. At the same time, Annie on the other side also sensed something. Not surprisingly, when she arrived at the hospital first, Jack had already been sent to the operating room, and Jack's father was in tears. They could never have imagined the father lost his son like this, and Annie had lost her lover forever. As she looked back on Jack's past over and over again, all that was left behind was endless longing. Soon the hospital informed Annie that they were going to give her a kidney transplant. It turned out that it wasn't the right kidney that was available. Instead, Jack's father donated a kidney for Jack. Perhaps he did it to make up for the regret of his son's life, in order to let his beloved one live the rest of his life in good health. A year later, Annie lived up to her reputation as an accomplished pianist. She released her own album. She gave a big recital. Perhaps the best way to give back to her lover is to become famous. The most touching love must be the one in which the love does not last forever. The most unforgettable love must be when two people have experienced life and death separation. When the person who loves you cannot grow old with you, the only way to repay him is to live hard for him. Thank you for watching. See you next time.